Please subscribe.
Keep in mind how BMW used to save its most dominant M3 motors for the European market, alongside scrumptious specials like the Evolution and CSL. All things considered, you might be less mindful of a comparative taboo organic product shamefulness. Subaru has been executing against its American fans since 1998, the STI S-arrangement autos, successively numbered S201 S208, have been confined to the Japanese market. All things considered, for the current year the Pleiadian stars have adjusted to sell the 2019 WRX STI S209 in the USA and not in Japan. Suck it, homeboys. You know Subaru Tecnica International, Subaru's motorsport backup since 1988, from the scores of Impreza WRX STI models we've gotten throughout the years. They've all been tuned by STI, yet these U.S. lawful models have been worked in a similar plant that manufactured our standard Imprezas, while the S models have constantly highlighted low-volume hand get-together work directed as a different STI processing plant. A large number of these changes would have required expensive accident testing affirmation to be sold here. Finally, Subaru and STI have surmounted the numerous high obstacles required to guarantee the STI activity as a U.S. homologated producer and to homologate the redesigns that are to be made to this new most noteworthy performing Impreza. Huzzah. In any case, is the North America-affirmed 2019 Subaru WRX STI S209 a genuine S model, or will the fanboys still be cranky? With 341 horsepower and 330 pounds-feet, its 2.5-liter turbo motor helpfully outmuscles the 2.0 liters in the entirety of its S model's forerunners, and it'll positively be rarer just 209 are ranged, when contrasted with 300 with 600 of each previous model. Likewise with all its S vehicles, the STI mods are laser-centered around improving driving elements. The reason for the new S209 is the 2018 WRX STI Type Raw, which created 310 horsepower and 290 pounds-feet. The 31 horsepower and 40 pound-feet redesign appears to be unassuming, however the exertion required to accomplish it was broad. The power and torque bends are fatter, as well, with torque up around 10% wherever north of 3,600 revolutions per minute. Be that as it may, the undercarriage improvement work is considerably increasingly broad and noteworthy. A lot of this work focuses on expelling the slop or slack that exists in all suspensions and is liable for the flitting delay between turning the controlling haggle vehicles starting to turn. This hysteresis regularly makes drivers turn in something over the top and afterward right. Suspension geeks are urged to nerd out with us in the suspension sidebar. Normally the springs and dampers are interestingly tuned for STI, with the springs bringing down the body by generally the equivalent 10 mm. The larger than usual tires raise it. Those tires are more extensive, stickier 265/35 R19 Dunlop SP Sport Max GT 600 DAS. They were grown explicitly for the S209 utilizing mixes and track examples picked to expand hold in both wet and dry conditions while improving controlling reaction and security. They're folded over produced BBS wheels that are a half-inch more extensive than the RAW's, presently 9.0 by 19. This new footwear includes around 24 pounds of the S209's 90-pound weight increase over the Type Raw. The last vehicle's Brembo brake equipment extends, however with higher performing cushions. These noisier, dustier adaptations are credited with diminishing blur by 30%. A large portion of the S209's outside alterations are either to cover the more extensive tires or add to diminishing streamlined lift by 30%. These incorporate the front splitter and kitten rids, side spoilers, useful air outlets in the front bumpers, and that enormous movable carbon fiber wing and back, which persists from the S208. It makes 42 pounds of downforce at 75 miles per hour in its standard position, 60 pounds in its maximum assault setting. To evaluate the suspension's slop decrease for myself, I lash into the pleasantly reinforced Recaro seats, get the Ultra SUV directing wheel, and head out onto the winding 13-turn Palmer Motorsports Park in Rustic, Massachusetts. We're running the track in reverse, to back things off more, diminishing span corners, and to change over the most sharp drops into climbs. I'm right away struck by how wonderfully immediate and open the using pressurized water help directing feels. It's a disclosure in this period of inert electric steerers. The speedy, 13.3:1, proportion is imparted to the WRX STIs, yet it appears to be even faster, and sure enough, I never end up loosening up an overabundance input. Later during a ride alongside previous Subaru rally racer Chris Atkinson, I see he's not remedying his guiding sources of info, either. The aggregate sum of parallel hold is the second clear takeaway from this drive. Subaru is asserting the S209 will produce 1.08 grams on the skid pad, and it positively feels like we're creating significantly more than that in the valley turns that are packing the suspension. I likewise use these goes to evaluate the distinctive focus differential locking programs, and the dash setting unquestionably appears to use the motor's significant torque to help turn the vehicle in. However, Atkinson says he for the most part leaves it in its programmed setting. My sole protest on the track is that the shorter toss shifter keeps hanging up between doors on my 3/4 upshifts. Maybe I simply need more practice or I'm rushing it. On the provincial street commute home from the track, the ride quality is firm and somewhat occupied. I'd counsel the STI group to create magneto-archaeological stunts for the S210, yet it's rarely brutal. Furthermore, that stronger fumes makes itself pleasantly known during hard increasing speed, however it to a great extent blurs away from plain sight while cruising along. I don't test the guaranteed top speed of 162 miles per hour. However, a couple of impacts through the apparatuses affirm that Subaru's increasing speed assessments of 4.9 seconds to 60 miles per hour and 13.3 seconds in the quarter are traditionalist by in any event 3/4. Valuing hasn't been set at this point, yet hope to pay $10,000 more than the $49,855 Type RA. The S209 is a monospec vehicle, with the main decision being shading World Rally Blue with matte grey wheels, 128 to be fabricated, or crystal white with matte gold wheels, 81. Subaru hasn't set up a request bank yet, halfway in light of the fact that it's as yet attempting to work out how it will allot the 209 units among its 600 or more sellers. Do the trick to state, they'll be elusive and most likely increased a great deal. Be that as it may, in any event you don't need to hold up 25 years to import one.